The car market is collapsing, and this could be the end of CarMax. We need to be careful because this is just the start of something terrifying. And when the big player in the used car scene rings the alarm bells, it's time to pay attention. The latest reports that just came out have thrown up some serious red flags about the used car market and the industry as a whole. And I'm not just talking about declining sales. This thing goes way deeper than it looks. So watch carefully, or you'll regret it once the problems reach you. So what's happening? Ever got that feeling in your gut that something big is brewing? Well, that is what's happening. And the media doesn't want you to know how big of a deal this is. CarMax's sales aren't just slightly down, they're heading south year over year. CarMax's annual net income declined by 57% from 2022 to 2023, going from $1.15 billion to $485 million. And you know that spring season boost where used car prices typically soar? April and May have come and passed, and instead of the usual price spikes, we're seeing a flat line. To put it simply, if people aren't fighting over those used cars, the prices are going to take a nosedive, and that is what's happening. But why? What is the real secret behind this? Look, declining sales is an indicator of problems, not the problem itself. So what does the media not want you to know exactly? And what does all of this mean? Well, in short, the automakers bubble is bursting. When the pandemic hit, demand for used cars went through the roof, while new car supplies dwindled, leading to a frenzy among consumers. People were willing to pay top dollar because the choices were slim. This drove prices way up, and before we knew it, there was the inflated price bubble that many folks were happily tolerating. CarMax, being the kingpin of the used car game, seized the moment. They jumped in, scooping up inventory at these sky-high prices, thinking they could ride the wave. However, as the tide started to change, those outsized prices began to look more like a sinking ship than a golden opportunity. As interest rates climbed and inflation took hold, buyers began pulling back. Many found themselves out of the market entirely, unable to even afford used cars anymore. This predicament wasn't just a small hiccup, it actually triggered a worrying sales slump for CarMax and other similar retailers. Imagine facing 7 straight quarters of declining earnings. That's exactly what CarMax has dealt with. Those high prices that once seemed like a good strategy during the pandemic, they've turned into a tough pill to swallow. CarMax is now scratching its head, trying to figure out how to adjust those prices to fit the brand new reality that consumers are navigating. So now, CarMax finds itself sitting on an astonishing stockpile of unsold vehicles, around $3.6 billion worth. That's no small number. This backlog is a direct consequence of both the prior overvaluation of these vehicles and the plummeting demand that followed. Just when they thought their no-haggle pricing gimmick was a brilliant move, it turned into a stumbling block. In today's marketplace, consumers are fishing for better deals. And the rigid pricing structure? It's putting CarMax at a disadvantage, making it tricky for them to adapt and quickly pace with the competition. And let's not forget the broader economics pressures that are piling on. High interest rates for auto loans are causing serious havoc. Plus, with new car prices steadily dipping, the pressure on used car prices is only going to intensify. Think about it. If new cars are becoming more affordable, why would anyone shell out big bucks for a used car when the shiny, fresh-off-the-line model is just a little more expensive? You see the spread starting to shrink, and suddenly, the value of that used vehicle looks less appealing. To back this up, let's dig into some numbers. Because there's one thing you can't deny. The numbers don't lie. Over the past year, wholesale used car prices have plummeted by more than 15%. That's 17.1% for compact cars and 18% for electric vehicles. With those numbers, it's clear that we're in for some serious price corrections. Not to mention, consumers are walking into dealerships with record-high negative equity, over $6,000. Just imagine trying to sell a car under those conditions. You've got to lower those prices if you expect buyers to bite. Oh, and here's where it gets even spicier. Interest rates on used car loans are chilling at over 14%. The average person is feeling that pinch hard. When it costs you so much to finance a vehicle, what's the first thing you're going to want? A solid deal. If dealers want to keep the customers coming through the door, they'll have to start slashing those used car prices. What does this mean for all of you? If you're thinking about buying a used car, it might be worth holding off a bit. Prices are set to tumble, and you don't want to miss out on scoring a sweet deal when the market shifts. And you don't have to wait for that long. Current wholesale used car prices are down, like significantly, across the board. We're not talking minor dips here. We're seeing drops that can leave you slack-jawed. Luxury cars, down 12.7%. Compact vehicles, a whopping 17.1%. We need to talk about one major sector here that is destroying the whole market: the EV industry. The electric vehicle market is shaking things up at CarMax, especially when it comes to their used car game. You might be wondering, how exactly is this burgeoning trend influencing their business? Why should you care? Well, buckle up, because we're about to dive into some interesting trends that highlight the rising impact of EVs on CarMax. And trust me, it's not just about Tesla or even the used EV market. This thing is going to affect almost everything. First off, let's talk about how consumer interest in used EVs is skyrocketing. From January 2021 to February 2024, the monthly search volume for electric vehicles on CarMax.com exploded by a whopping 177%. That's not just a blip on the radar, it's a clear signal that people are getting seriously curious about going electric, especially when it comes to used models. If you're thinking about hopping on the EV bandwagon, you're definitely not alone. And if you've been keeping tabs on what's hot in the EV world, you'll know that some models have taken the crown as consumer favorites. The Tesla Model 3, Model Y, and the Nissan Leaf have held their crown as the top 3 most sought-after used EVs from September 2023 through February 2024. But new contenders are entering the arena. Recent favorites now include the Volkswagen ID.4, the Audi e-tron, the Chevrolet Bolt EUV, and the Hyundai Ioniq 5. So the question is, how are they buying these EVs? What type of cars are drivers choosing to trade in for these electric beauties? You might be surprised to learn that SUVs dominate the trade-in scene at 39%, followed closely by sedans, which accounts for 31%. There's definitely a trend here, and it seems that folks are ready to make the leap to electric. Toyota leads the pack as the most traded-in brand, and Ford and Honda not far behind. What's the most traded-in model, you ask? The Ford F-150 and Honda Accord. These popular picks are making way for newer, cleaner options that reflect a shift in consumer priorities. As most people embrace the idea of electric driving, it's clear that trade-in behavior is evolving dramatically, and CarMax is right in the middle of this electric revolution. So you might be asking, so what? Well, this means that traditional ICEs are going to be out of the market pretty soon, and the used car dealers are just going to be sitting on top of huge inventories with no demand for them. And the worst part? There is no option for them, because they can't even depend on their EVs. Why? Well, let me give you some background. Price wars. You see, in the fast-paced world of electric vehicles, there's a thrilling price war brewing. And it's stirring up a lot of challenges for automotive companies, especially those still clinging to their gas-guzzling internal combustion engine vehicles. Major players in the EV market, like Tesla and BYD, have thrown out the playbook and decided to go full throttle with some serious price cuts. We're talking about crafting prices so low that they're nearly jaw-dropping. Imagine new EVs hitting the market at prices slashed by as much as 30%, just moments after they launch. But it's not just about numbers on a price tag. This price war is shaking up the very foundation of traditional automotive pricing. Typically, you'd expect a new car's value to gradually drop by around 5 to 10% each year. Well, the rapid-fire price cuts on EVs are throwing all those expectations out the window. We're seeing massive fluctuations in resale values, and that's creating a real headache for both consumers and dealers alike. With profit margins getting squeezed tighter than ever, it's getting to feel like a high-stakes poker game. Automotive manufacturers are scrambling to keep their heads above water. Those who aren't willing to jump on the price-cutting bandwagon might just find themselves losing valuable market share to those who are foregoing profits in the name of volume sales. It's a precarious situation that could lead us straight down a slippery slope. Instead of thriving, they're racing to the bottom. But wait, there's a ripple effect for consumers too. The fallout from the price war often leads to depreciating vehicle values, making it tough for anyone looking to trade in their trusty ride. Imagine being excited to upgrade, only to find your car's trade-in value has nosedived below what you still owe on your loan. That could stall any plans for a new purchase and add a layer of financial stress that nobody wants to deal with. This kind of scenario can really put the brakes on demand in the used car market, leaving many potential buyers sidelined. As we zoom out and take a look at the big picture, it's clear that the ongoing price war is causing seismic shifts in the automotive landscape. Sure, those lower prices can feel like a win for consumers in the short term, but these price cuts are coming with lots of baggage. You see, most of those automotive companies are feeling the heat from all the choices they've made recently. The impact. The ongoing price war in the electric vehicle market is shaking things up big time for manufacturers, especially those who have historically relied on internal combustion engines. Think about it. If a company decides not to join the price cut frenzy, they're risking losing valuable market share to competitors who are willing to drop their prices. It's a high-stakes game, and the potential for declining profitability looms large for those not willing to play ball. Stellantis' CEO, Carlos Tavares, even cautioned about impending bloodbath in the industry if EV makers continue diving deeper into a race to the bottom on pricing. With price fluctuations happening at lightning speed, manufacturers find themselves scrambling to adapt quickly. This often results in shorter stock holding periods and skyrocketing turnover rates. What does that mean on the ground level? Dealers might sell vehicles within days of receiving them, often without making any significant refurbishments. And even automakers might skimp on reliability and testing in order to lower cost. That can seriously impact the quality of the vehicle, which may leave consumers feeling a bit uneasy and dissatisfied. Plus, the influx of repossessed cars due to all this upheaval is driving down used car values, making it even trickier for dealers to maintain their profitability. On top of that, as EV prices dip lower and lower, consumers start to expect the same reductions for ICE vehicles. It's like a rippling effect that can lead to delayed purchases as buyers sit on the sidelines, waiting to see if they can snag a deal on the next shiny new model. This shift in expectation is causing a slowdown in overall automotive sales. Definitely not what car companies want to hear. Some consumers are even postponing their decisions to buy a new car entirely, holding out to see just how low these EV prices might tumble before they dive into the market. So it seems like they're facing some serious consequences. So why are they doing this? Well, because they simply can, and they kind of have to at this point. Look, Tesla has absolutely nailed down a streamlined production process that's practically a blueprint for success. Imagine this: the fixed costs that most companies are wrestling with are spread across an enormous number of units for Tesla. That means as they ramp up production, they can slash those prices without missing a beat on their bottom line. It's a total game changer compared to those legacy car companies who are sweating bullets trying to keep pace with Tesla's efficient manufacturing machine. It's like they're trying to run a marathon, but their shoelaces are tied together. You see, this isn't just some cookie-cutter automaker that set a price and forgets about it until the next model year. Nope, Tesla is on top of their game, constantly tweaking and adjusting their prices to match market trends and what consumers are yearning for. They've even slashed the cost of their full self-driving software right alongside their vehicle price drops. It's like watching a master chess player, always thinking ahead and making moves that keep them in control. And you know what? Elon Musk, the big brain behind it all, has got his eyes on the prize when it comes to prioritizing volume over immediate profit margins. He's not just in it for the short-term gain, he's playing the long game. By getting as many Teslas on the road as possible, he's creating a massive customer base that can later be tapped for significant revenue through software and service offerings. It's bold, it's ambitious, and you better believe it's working wonders while destroying the market and changing things up. Let me break it down for you. Creating a new era. In order to have the agility and flexibility that are needed to navigate the fast-paced automotive market, Tesla's come up with one solution, and that is the direct-to-consumer sales model. By opting for a direct sales strategy, Tesla cuts out the middleman altogether. No dealerships, no hassle, just a seamless interaction between the company and its customers. This level of control means that Tesla can keep its messaging consistent and maintain service quality across every single touch point. You want brand loyalty? This is how you build it. When customers know what to expect and feel valued at every step, their satisfaction skyrockets. We all know how paper-heavy and slow traditional car buying can be. Tesla's DTC model kicks those barriers to the curb, making it super easy for customers to dive into the electric vehicle world. But the most important factor is data collection. Tesla's sales approach opens the door to a treasure trove of valuable customer data that keeps the company in tune with consumer preferences. It's like having a backstage pass to their audience's thoughts and behaviors. This information enables Tesla to tailor marketing strategies, fine-tune product offerings, and enhance customer service initiatives. Talk about a competitive edge! And here's where it gets even more interesting: the feedback loop. Direct communication with customers allows Tesla to gather immediate feedback on their products and services. Imagine getting real-time insights from the very people you're trying to serve. This capability enables quick adjustments and improvements, ensuring that Tesla stays relevant and responsive, even as consumer tastes shift rapidly in this dynamic market. Plus, eliminating dealership markups allows the company to offer factory direct pricing that's not just competitive, but reinforces affordability for consumers. This pricing strategy empowers Tesla to pivot quickly in response to market trends and competitor tactics, keeping them agile in a world that's constantly on the move. Plus, with fewer intermediaries in the mix, Tesla has a sharpened ability to manage supply and demand effectively. This can ensure that production aligns closely with what consumers really want, which is increasingly vital in today's climate, especially during the ongoing EV price war. And every automaker that is involved or dragged into the price war is looking at Tesla and trying to replicate their model. But that might not be a good thing for the industry. And for us too. And there are two reasons why that is. So watch carefully. Challenges and side effects. You see, as a buyer, the benefits are enormous, but there are also some minor issues that need to be figured out. In a traditional dealership setup, walking in, taking a spin, and really feeling the car is part of the fun before you even think about signing on the dotted line. But when you switch gears to Tesla's DTC model, it's a totally different game. Customers often have to leap through hoops just to book a test drive. And sometimes, that shiny model you've been eyeing, yeah, it might not even be on the lot. But this is a minor issue compared to what this approach will do to the market. You see, the rise of the direct-to-consumer sales model, particularly driven by innovators like Tesla, is shaking up the automotive world in some serious, impactful ways. We're not just talking about a shift in how cars are sold, it's a potential game changer that could completely disrupt the local economies that have traditionally relied on dealerships for stability. Dealerships are way more than just lots filled with shiny vehicles. They're vital employers and economic powerhouses within their communities. According to the National Automobile Dealers Association, new car dealerships make a staggering contribution of around $95 billion to the U.S. economy each year. That's not chump change. This includes direct employment for over 1 million people, with many workers in essential roles like sales, service, and support that keep the local economy humming. In small towns, these dealerships aren't just businesses, they're often the biggest employers around, creating crucial opportunities for families. There are so many small-town dealerships that not only sell cars, but also sponsor local Little League teams, hire your neighbors, and contribute significantly to local tax revenues. If such a dealership were to close its doors because of the rise of DTC sales, the economic fallout could be more than just a blip on the radar. It would feel like a real gut punch. A study from the Center for Automotive Research supports this, suggesting that losing dealerships could lead to significant job losses and a serious downturn in local economic activity. It's almost like the community's heartbeat slowing down as shops, schools, and local sports teams feel the crunch. But on the other hand, automakers need this. By sidestepping those dealerships altogether, Tesla has created a smooth, streamlined purchasing process. It allows potential buyers to snag vehicles online without all the back and forth haggling and negotiation that can feel like pulling teeth at a traditional dealership. And guess what? This innovative approach has set a trend that other manufacturers are starting to chase, including Ford, which recently hinted at wanting to rethink their direct sales strategy. Ford CEO Jim Farley has openly acknowledged that Tesla's model leads to superior profitability by cutting out the expensive middleman, namely dealerships. He even mentioned that Ford's distribution model adds about $2,000 more in cost per vehicle compared to Tesla's pricing strategy. This revelation has sparked a reevaluation of sales methods among automakers, with many now exploring online direct sales and fixing pricing models to stay competitive in this evolving landscape. But dealerships are not just sitting idly and waiting for their end. Nope, they're fighting back, big time. Fight for power. There is a trend of dealership consolidation, and it is dramatically reshaping the automotive landscape. You might be wondering what this means for you. Well, let's break down what dealership consolidation really is. In simple terms, it's the growing trend of bigger automotive dealership groups rolling up their sleeves and acquiring smaller, independent dealerships. Why is this happening? Several factors are at play here, such as economic pressures, rapid technological advancements, and the evolving behaviors of consumers. As these powerful dealership groups take the wheel, where a select few are grabbing a larger slice of the market pie, while smaller players are having to adapt or risk falling behind. A significant force driving this consolidation is the impact of franchise laws. Yeah, those handy regulations that are in place in most states. These laws are designed to create a protective bubble for dealerships, making sure they're not put in direct competition with manufacturers that might want to sell directly to you. This protective layer allows dealerships to keep that competitive edge they need, not just against other dealerships, but also against the manufacturers themselves. Plus, these laws require manufacturers to provide solid reasons if they decide they don't want to renew a dealership's agreement, which is crucial for safeguarding the interest of the businesses involved. And as cars become more technologically advanced, some states have even started to pass laws requiring manufacturers to compensate dealerships for helping customers with those high-tech features. This not only cements the role of dealerships as critical players in the modern automotive arena, but it's also nudging smaller dealerships to connect with larger groups for the resources and support they need to thrive amidst complexity. Now, who's leading the charge in this consolidation trend? Enter Lithia Motors. This company has been on an acquisition spree, snapping up a whopping 67 dealerships in 2021 alone, followed closely by 25 in the next year, and even 13 from Priority Auto Group in Virginia just recently. This aggressive growth strategy has catapulted Lithia to the top of the dealership food chain in the US, leaving competitors like AutoNation in the dust. In 2022, they sold an impressive 271,596 new vehicles, marking a solid 4.2% increase from the year prior. But don't forget about other noteworthy players like AutoNation and Hendrick Automotive Group, who've also been busy acquiring smaller dealerships. So for those looking to buy cars, the implications of dealership consolidation are like a roller coaster ride with thrilling highs and a few unsettling lows. On one hand, when larger dealership groups pool their resources, they can create efficiencies that could result in lower prices for you. They might also have bigger inventories, leading to an even wider selection of vehicles when it comes time to make that all-important purchase. However, and it's a big however, reduced competition in certain areas could push prices higher. As of 2023, we saw a notable drop in independent dealerships. There are now about 11,000 of them left. This reduction means that your choices when it comes to buying or servicing a vehicle might be more limited than ever before. Recent data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics shed some interesting light on this. While dealership consolidation has certainly ramped up, it seems that the Consumer Price Index for new cars is rising at a slightly slower pace compared to the sales growth seen among the largest dealership groups. To put it in perspective, the CPI for new cars shot up by around 3.5% over the past year. So the road ahead is definitely going to be tough for everyone. But what's your take on this? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.